Now Bharat saw the whole of it and understood how monstrous was the wrong his mother had done. Grief overwhelmed him beyond all bearing. When he thought of her deed and of the lasting infamy she had brought upon herself, his sorrow broke loose, and he hurled bitter words at Kaikeyi. "What is this you have done?" he cried. "Did you really think to make me take the kingdom? Stripped of such a father and such a brother, am I likely to hunger after a throne? You have brought about the king's death and Rama's banishment, and now you bid me step into their place, as though to pour oil on the very fire of my grief. How luckless my father was to have taken you for a wife." Bharat cried. "Kausalya and Sumitra too will die of sorrow. How could you find it in you to do such a thing to Rama, who loved you so? Revered Kausalya treated you as her own sister. How could you scheme against the son she cherished? Did you not know how I loved Rama? Greed has robbed you of your reason. How else could you so blindly persuade yourself that you were working for my good? Even our great father leaned on Rama and Lakshman. How could you dream that I could rule without them? Or that, could I do so, I would ever consent? Never shall your wish come true by any help of mine." Bharat declared, "I can call you my mother no longer. I renounce you utterly. How could you overturn the law of kings and set a younger son upon the throne? Our house would be a byword of shame for all time. I will not do it. I shall go to the forest and bring Rama home. I shall set the crown upon Rama's head," he vowed, "and rejoice to be his loyal servant." Then his voice rose higher still. "Banish Rama. Indeed, it is you who ought to be banished. Cruel woman, you who have forsaken the path of dharma. Take it that I am dead to you, for I would sooner die than be son to a murderess of your own husband." Bharat cried, "You are no child of the good king Aswapti. You are a Rakshasi. To what pit of hell should you be flung? Who have driven out the only son of Mother Kausalya. What penalty could ever answer for the grief you have laid on her?" His words fell like thunderbolts upon the silent queen. Kamadhenu, the divine mother cow, had children past counting, Bharat said. Yet she wept to see two of her bulls straining at the plough, and her tears scalded Indra on his heavenly throne. And Kausalya's one and only son, you have driven to the forest, thinking by that to win happiness for you and for me. "I shall perform my father's obsequies," he declared, "then go to the forest, fall at Rama's feet, and bring him home. And to cleanse myself of the sin and shame you have heaped upon me, I shall myself live as an ascetic in the Dandaka wilds. What a flood of sorrow you have loosed upon the earth! By what penance can you ever redeem yourself?" Finding no relief for his anguish in angry words, Bharat sighed like a young elephant, newly captured, hot tears streaming from his eyes. He could bear the sight of his mother no longer, and rushed from her chamber toward Kausalya's apartments, seeking some gentler place to pour out his overwhelming sorrow. And so Kaikeyi's castle in the air went up in smoke. She sunk down upon the floor and wept. For there is no reflection more bitter than that of a crime committed in vain. She had sinned to win her son a throne, and had gained instead his everlasting scorn and the ruin of all she loved. For of all the figures in the Ramayana, Bharat stands out as virtue made perfect. In the villages of the north, the people keep a yearly festival for the meeting of Rama and Bharat at Chitrakuta, and hold it the holiest passage in the whole story, a shining witness to the God that lives within man. Soon the news of Bharat's arrival spread through the palace. Kausalya, still laboring under her grief, heard it and was glad. "Come, Sumitra," she said, "let us go and meet Bharat." But hardly had they taken a few steps when they saw Bharat himself rushing wildly toward them, as if to plead for mercy. Kausalya's first thought was that Bharat had hurried home to claim the fortune now. For had not the elders resolved to crown him? So, her heart desolate with the loss of husband and son, she said in a low voice, Bharat, the kingship waits, secured for you by Kaikeyi. Fear no hindrance from us. Take it and be happy. One thing only I beg of you. Kausalya added, let me mount your father's funeral pyre with him. The words stung Bharat's ears like poison. Down he went at her feet, clinging to them, too overcome to bring out so much as a syllable, his whole frame trembling with sorrow and shame. Oh Bharat, Kausalya said again, at least take me to where Rama is in the forest. Unable to bear these piteous words, and unable to utter a reply, Bharat fell into a swoon at her feet. The weight of grief, shame, and false suspicion had at last overwhelmed the pure-hearted prince entirely. After a while, he raised himself and spoke. Mother, why do you torment me, who am guiltless? You know I was far away and knew nothing of the wickedness done here. Do you not know how I love Rama? Would I ever do such a thing to him? Let every sin in the world fall on my head if I had the least inkling of this evil. He raised his hands and solemnly recited every dreadful sin a man could commit, invoking upon himself the punishment due to each if he had borne any part in the plot. Again and again he swore his innocence, for it tormented him beyond bearing that Kausalya should think him capable of greed at his brother's expense. He cared nothing for kingdom, wealth, or power, and it was a terrible anguish to him that his innocence should be doubted. Such a suspicion was scarcely less cruel than Rama's exile itself. He could never accept the crown that was his beloved brother's birthright, and he begged Kausalya to believe him. His burning sincerity convinced Kausalya how unjust her suspicion had been, and her heart flowed out to him. Gently, she lifted him from the ground, laid his head in her lap, and stroked it as though he were Rama himself. Her grief and his running together into one stream of love. My dear son, Kausalya said, my sorrow is doubled to see this anguish tearing at your innocent heart. What are we to do, child? We are but fate's playthings. May the reward of goodness be yours in this world and the next. And she drew him close, comforted that so noble a son had come to her in place of her lost Rama. So the poet Kamban sings how Kausalya wept for joy over Bharat and embraced him as though Rama himself were back from the forest. Through her tears, she said, many of your forefathers won great renown, but you have outshone them all in glory by renouncing the crown that fell to you. You are a king among kings. In due course, the obsequies of the dead king were performed, and Vasishtha and the learned elders offered Bharat and Shatrughna grave and comforting counsel from the Shastras. And on the 14th day after the king's death, the ministers convened the great assembly and formally addressed Bharat. The king has passed to the world above, the ministers said. Rama and Lakshman are in the forest, and the land has no ruler. It is only right that you take up the government at our asking. All is ready for the coronation. The citizens and ministers wait upon your consent. This kingdom is lawfully yours and awaits its king. Bharat walked slowly round the things gathered for the coronation, his hands folded, and then spoke to the assembled elders in grave and even tones. I do not hold it right, he said, that you should ask me in this way to take the kingdom. By the usage of our house, the throne is the eldest son's. With all respect to you, I have resolved to go to the forest and bring Rama back to Ayodhya and Lakshman with him, and see Rama crowned Make ready the men and the means for it. Prepare the road and gather the laborers. This is my last and unshakable word. I will not take the crown. At these words, the whole assembly was beside itself with joy, and loud applause greeted Bharat's noble resolve. At once an army and a great retinue were made ready to accompany the prince to the forest, and a host of workers with their tools went forth to prepare the long road ahead. Men who knew the forest, pioneers who could sink wells and cut canals, makers of rafts and boats, carpenters and engineers. All of them worked with glad hearts, for their toil was to bring their beloved Rama home. Culverts were raised, trees felled, and a broad road for the prince and his train swiftly laid down. The ups and downs of the land were leveled, marshes drained, and resting places, drinking water, and every convenience made ready for the army's march. All Ayodhya threw itself into the great work, its grief lightening with hope, for soon their prince would set out to fetch home the exiled Rama. Yet even as the road was made, Vasishtha and the ministers, still unwilling to abandon their hope of crowning Bharat, summoned the assembly once more. They sent messengers to his palace with music playing on many instruments, inviting him again to the hall. But all this only pained the grieving prince. He stopped the musicians and sent the messengers away and turned to Shatrughna. Why do they keep tormenting me when I have refused the kingdom? This is what our mother's scheming has borne. Father has gone to heaven and left me to carry all this alone. The land wants a king and drifts like a ship without a helm. We must bring Rama back, and soon. The assembly sat waiting eagerly for the blameless prince to come. He entered the hall as the full moon climbs the sky, bowed low to the elders, and took his seat. Then Vasishtha said to him, "This kingdom has come to you from your father and from your brother, Rama. Take it and guard us after the ancient custom." But Bharat's heart was far away with Rama, and tears fell from his eyes. There, in the midst of the royal assembly, the young prince wept aloud, and in a voice struggling through his tears, he spoke words of respectful reproach to his preceptors and elders, refusing once more the throne they pressed upon him. "How can you ask one of my birth, and rearing to seize what belongs to another far nobler and worthier than I?" Bharat cried, "Can any son of Dasharatha so much as dream of such wickedness? This kingdom, and I, and all that is in it, are Rama's. He is the eldest, the noblest of us, a lover of dharma, the rightful king. He is fit to be lord of the three worlds," Bharat declared. "Standing here, I bow in homage to Rama, yonder in the forest. He is the king, not I." At these words, the whole assembly broke into tears of joy, stirred beyond measure by the young prince's flawless devotion to his banished brother. "If I cannot prevail on King Rama to return," Bharat went on, "I shall stay there in the forest and do penance. It is your duty, O elders, to try every means to bring Rama back. For my own part, I shall do all that lies in me to make him return to Ayodhya and to see him crowned our rightful king." He then ordered Sumantra, standing near, to hasten all the preparations for the journey to the forest, and the whole city rejoiced in anticipation of Rama's return. For every heart felt sure that nothing on earth could resist the force of Bharat's pure and dutiful love. So Kaikeyi's intrigue was utterly wasted. The throne she had schemed and sinned to win for her son, he flung away without a moment's thought. The kingdom she had stolen for him became, in his hands, only a trust to be restored to its rightful lord. Her crime had bought her nothing but sorrow and shame. For virtue, in the end, undoes the works of ambition. In Bharat's refusal shone a nobility that no throne could equal. the greatness of a man who valued his brothers right above his own crown, and his dharma above all the wealth of the world. Such souls are the beacon lights of a sinful age. The people of Ayodhya, who had feared anarchy and ruin, now took heart. Their beloved Rama would be sought and brought home. Their noble Bharat would settle the crown where it belonged. The darkness that had swallowed the city began, at last, to lift, pierced by the hope of the exile's return. And so the great procession began to form. An army, a retinue, elders and citizens, all preparing to journey into the wilderness to seek the exiled prince. At its head would go Bharat, not to seize a throne, but to lay it humbly at his brother's feet, in one of the noblest acts the world has ever seen. In Kausalya's heart, grief and pride now mingled strangely. She had lost her own son to the forest, yet found in Bharat a devotion that comforted her, and she prayed that the meeting of the brothers, when it came, might heal the terrible wounds that one night's evil counsel had torn open in their house. Thus was the intrigue wasted, and thus did virtue rise triumphant over greed. The crown that ambition had grasped, love now returned. The sun that sin had raised up, dharma now bowed down, and all Ayodhya turned its face toward the forest, longing for the day when Rama would come home again. So Bharat, noblest of brothers, made ready to set out, to walk the hard forest road, to fall at Rama's feet, and to beg him to take back his kingdom. What Kaikeyi had wrought in a single evening of madness, Bharat now resolved to undo with a lifetime's devotion. And the great journey to Chitrakuta was about to begin.